So today we are back at Meadow Farm Cottages and I've booked myself onto the Saturday Open. Back by popular demand, loads of people requested we do another live match following my process throughout the 5-hour period. The decisions I make, the changes I do and the reasons why they do them. Now the draw has already been done. I'm on peg 5. It's okay, I mean it's just a canal style lake, so the two end pegs are obviously probably where you'd like to be, but apart from that it's pretty fair and it's a really mixed fishery, so loads of bites, lots of silverfish, carp, a real sort of decision to be made about what you fish for. But I'm going to get the gear on the peg, sort of assess what's going on, and then I'll make my choices before I start the match. So much more detail to follow on that one, but for now time is ticking. I need to get this on the peg and see what's going to happen today. Right, okay, we're on the peg and all ready to go. A little bit rushed to get ready, but we're finally there. I'm going to talk you through my approach. Now, the first thing I always say when fishing a match is you need to try and gauge what you're fishing for. Now, from experience, looking at the weights recently, I think today £50 would be competitive. It might be a little bit higher that wins it, might be a little bit less, but my target is going to be around that to win the match. So I've said this is a real mixed fishery. I believe you have to either fish for eyed from the start or silver from the start, or go down the carp approach, and you need to do one or the other. There'll be people here today who are 100% going to fish for eyed from start to finish. They'll probably have 40 or 50 pound, and if you fish for carp for an hour then decide it's not worked and do that, you're an hour behind and you'll probably never catch up. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going down the carp approach. I just like that style of fishing, and this sort of canal style lake really does suit me well. So the all-ins there, so they're going to get everyone about a minute's head start on me. I'm going to talk you through the rigs that I'm using. So I said I'm going to target carp, and then through the quiet periods I might have a little go for some 10 shore eye just to give that line a rest. But starting on the rig, so nice and simple, I'm going to be starting fishing at the far bank. So I've got the red slick elastic, I've got a 4x14 pole float. The rig line, because they're nothing massive in here, they're quite small fish, is 012 power micron. It's going to be absolutely fine for pretty much anything that we're likely to handle. Obviously a strung out bulk all the way down, and then if you're not already using pre-tied hook links, you probably should be, because they're so much easier and they're as good as I can tie them as well. So MCX1 hook links is what's going on there, and a little size 18 hook. So probably should stop talking and try and catch these guys up. Some people are fishing already. So I'm going to start on maggot. And although I said I'm targeting carp, it does give me the option to catch a bit of everything, but I'm only going to feed pellet because, you know, for me it's going to be a bit more of a sit and wait approach, and hopefully we'll catch a few bigger fish. So let me just get this out there. We've got to break down halfway today. It's got a fence behind us, so it's a little bit more time consuming when shipping out. Now these kind of snake or canal lakes, literally they fish themselves really. So you've got a couple of options. One, which is where I'm starting on now, it's over the far side, which will probably be 95% of my fishing, I would say. And then the other line is down the middle. It tends to be, you know, that kind of thing on any of these style lakes. All the pressure and the noise on this side of the bank pushes the fish over there at the start, and then down the track in the deeper water. They're sort of the two lines you fish. You don't really catch your near side margins here, so I haven't even set that rig up. I kept it nice and simple, and I'm just going to start fishing, certainly for the first hour, over that far side. I put a few micros in there, and we're now going to see if there's something willing to feed, but hopefully 10 shore carp is the target early on. Well, we've had our first bite, a couple of minutes, and we are into one. Now, it's worth taking your time. Like I said, I will say it again because I think it's one of the most important things in match fishing. Know what weight you're trying to catch. Like, if you were fishing for a lake where you're going to need 200 pounds, something like that, you're going to be fishing heavier, bigger tackle, stuff like that, and you're really going to have to get those fish in quick. But it's just not like that on every venue, and certainly places like this where there's a lot of silverfish, a lot of smaller carp. It's quite a new lake, some new fish, so take your time with them. Everyone is quite important, and this one is a real bonus fish to start with. Now, it's not a carp, but these do feed pretty well. It's a big tench, and actually some of the tension here are bigger than some of the carp. They go up to, I mean, I've had them in a match here to £8, so they are definitely worth fishing for, and literally fish for them exactly the same way as you would with the carp. Feeding pellets, fishing maggot, give you a bit of an option for both. So that wasn't coming out, and if he's going to behave himself, which I don't know if he is for the camera, I will waste a bit of time and show you, because he is well worth a little look. That is a wicked start. A couple of minutes fishing. I'm going to give myself £4.5, so that'll go on the clicker, and then a good start. So let's get this fish in the net, get back out there and see if there's another one waiting for us. Right, well, that was a great start. If you can put one of those in your net every 5 or 10 minutes, it would certainly be enough. And I've said many times before, use the people who you're fishing against. It sounds weird, but use them to your advantage. Keep an eye on what other people are doing, and it'll gauge, first of all, how well you're doing, and second of all, if you need to make any changes. Now, Graham actually is fishing, I believe he's fishing for eyed on peg 2, which is up to my right, so that gives me a good indication of how well the silverfish are going to feed. Now, I've already said I'm not going to fish for them, but if he's catching loads, I know I need to do something different, whether that be feed more bait and really force my peg into action, or change a different line and try something else. So although you're against him, use your competitors to your advantage, and don't be the first one to make a mistake, is what I would say. Don't go and pile loads of bait in and ruin your swim. Feel your way in nice and gently. So what I've done, same again, a little toss pot of micros, maggot over the top, and I'm just going to keep doing that, keep my eye on other people as well, and then after sort of 30 minutes to an hour, you'll have a good indication of what the match is going to produce. So we'll sit patiently now, wait for another bite, and hopefully another bonus fish. Well, we had to wait a little bit longer for that bite, but we are connected to another fish. In that period, peg 1 has had 3 decent fish, and that peg is so good on this lake. I mean, it's the same with all like canal, Snake Lake type fishing. End pegs are quite hard to beat, but certainly not, you know, not absolutely run away. I've seen him have 3 bonus fish, what I'd say, so either carp or tench, and if we land this one, that'll be our second. So not worried about anything yet, and certainly not going to do anything drastic to change the way that I'm fishing it. One thing I would say is, looking around, I've not seen many people catching loads of eyed, which is very, very unusual for this place. Now, normally if you set your stall out to fish for eyed, you could pretty much guarantee to catch sort of 30-40 pounds worth of fish. So that's why a lot of people do it, because they're pretty consistent. Carp are a bit moody in the fact that they either feed or they don't sometimes, where although today I've said they're not feeding, I'd normally are a little bit more reliable, but they might come on to feed a bit later on. So I'm going to really concentrate on getting this one in now, stop talking to you, and see if we can put another fish in the net. Well, that is definitely a bonus fish. It's the biggest fish I've ever caught out of here. Like I said, I They are quite new, a lot of these fish, but I think this is actually an original that was in here before they stopped all the skimmers, eyed and the smaller carp and tench. But look at that for a fish, that is wicked. Let alone a matches, that's worth stopping for. I don't mind losing a few minutes to admire a ghost carp that looks as good as that, and that is a real big bonus to me. That's probably 2 or 3 fish worth of other species, so certainly a good start, and I'd love to catch a few more of those. Well, it has been a bit of a struggle after them first initial fish. So I had the 2 decent fish, the big tench and the big ghost, and since then a few, or 2 smaller carp and a couple of perch. And chat to my left's had a couple of nice fish, chat to my right's now catching a few eye, and we are about an hour and a half in now. And the famous peg one, I say the famous peg one because it wins an awful lot of matches here, if not in the top 2 or 3 every time, has put a real run of fish together. So, like I said earlier, you then need to make a decision about you need to catch more fish, and I certainly now need to catch more fish than what I am. So what I've done about 20 minutes ago is I put a big pot of worms in down the middle, try and catch a bonus tench or some eyed down there, and I put a big pot of ground bait over the far side. So the aggression level's ramped up. We've put more bait in because we know now that we're going to need to catch more fish than what we currently are. So I'm going to try and go down the short line down the middle, see if there's anything there, a bit of worms going on, and we will see what happens. But currently at the moment the clicker says 14 pounds, so I hope that gives you an indication of where we are. And normally on this, I'm going to call it shoreline, so I'm fishing about 6 meters. Normally it's good for a little run of fish just to put some weight in the net. So you'll be amazed on any lake, especially lakes like this, how well a little rest of the swim does. So 15-20 minutes of not fishing over there where we were to start with, those fish just feel a little bit more confident, cruise back in, and you can then perhaps catch 2 or 3 more quite quick again. So it is quite important to rotate away from areas once it goes dead. It's hard to explain, but when you fish a few matches, you get a feel for when there's nothing in your swim. You get no line, there's no indication of fish, and it's just better off resting it, put a bit of bait there, leave it 15 minutes and see what happens. So the plan for the next 15 minutes is going to be this short line, or perhaps the longer line over to my right away from my initial line. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to fish away now, see if we can put a little flurry of fish together. Well, there's another eye, and to be fair, it's been all right. I've probably fished for 20 minutes, half an hour, catching the odd eye, and all it's done for me, you know, it's put a few pound in my net. But I did say from the start I'd set my stall out to catch carp, and to be fair, calm down, I wanted to try and see if we could win today, and unless I'd done this from the very start, you're not going to beat certainly what I've seen peg 1 catch. So it served a purpose. I'm going to have one more cast on it just to see if I can have another fish. So it served a purpose in the fact that 20 minutes, half an hour, I've not now been putting pressure on the line where I was catching carp. So I'm hoping that when I drop back in over there, I could potentially have a chance of another couple of fish. And you know, it is a gamble fishing for carp. I could be completely wrong. At the end of this match, I could be talking to you saying, that I should have fished for these idle day, because they are, you know, they're fairly consistent. Every couple of minutes you're catching one about 10 ounces probably, so they're nice fish. But like I said, when other people are catching those bigger tench, bigger carp, you do really need to get your head down and go from it from the start, and I didn't do that. So yeah, I may have got it wrong. You don't know yet, do you? We're only a couple of hours in. I've not given up hope. I'm gonna give this hopefully one more fish, and then we're gonna get back on the longer pole and see if we can catch another carp. Not long at all. I'm starting to regret a little bit not doing it from the start, because I've certainly probably had more weight on this than I have fishing for the bonus fish. Well, in saying that, you know, I'd like to say skillfully, I will say I got quite lucky in the way that I caught two of the bigger fish, you know, a big tench and a big carp as well. So it wasn't a waste, and that's probably been half an hour for, what are we going to say, I probably put, he's in the net, lucky I didn't lose him. I probably put £3, £4 of a net in that half an hour. So it was an exercise worth it, but for now I'm going to tip that rig back on, and I'm going to try and put that back over there. So I'm going to click that onto my clicker. So I now think I'm roughly 17 to 18 pound ish, and from what I can see now, I can't see the other half of the lake. Where I'm situated is a reed bed sort of halfway down, and it blocks my view from the other half, so I can only commentate on what I've seen, you know, in my area. And certainly, like I said, currently peg 1 is doing quite well. But one thing I would say is that being that end peg, it has got a little bit of form of going quiet after the first half of the match. So I think pretty standard, everyone is going to be behind after the first couple, 2.5 hours from that peg. But after that, there is a chance that the second half of the match everyone plays a bit of catch up. So let's hope that going back out here now after that half an hour break has put some fish at ease that are happy to put their heads down. Like I said, I think because there's quite a bit of pressure and the fish are relatively new, you know, only a couple of years perhaps have been in here, that they don't like being caught on the same spot religiously. You tend to catch 3 or 4, then it goes really quiet. So rotating your lines is really, really important. But we're back out fishing for the bonus fish now, so let's give it 10 or 15 minutes here. If that's no good, we'll move on to the other line that we cupped in a bit of ground bait and see if there's anything on there. But it is amazing what a little break does. I did say that sometimes just coming off a swim, not necessarily to catch elsewhere, but just to rest it, really does make a difference. And I've fished away for perhaps half an hour, I had 4 or 5 fish, nothing massive, and actually most of them have been little F1s or a couple of small tench. This is another little F1, but or a small carp, but bites have definitely been a little bit quicker. And I think the plan is going to be now, I'll show you this one, the plan is going to be now is to rotate lines between all 3. So if you can have, I don't want to drop another one into the net, there you go, little F1. But yeah, so switching between this line that we started on, the short line down the middle to rest it with eye, tench, bits and pieces like that every sort of half an hour. And then I've had a little go over where you put some ground bait, but nothing on there that was really positive. You know, I put a big pot in and then might come and settle on it later. But we're just over halfway, and another pan. My clicker says roughly 26 pounds. So I'm not quite on to the 50 pound that we said we're aiming. I'm a little bit short going on the calculations that I've made, and I've just shouted down to peg 1 and they're estimating roughly between 40 and 50. So I'm behind there, but that's kind of something you have to accept sometimes. End peg, water inlet and an aerator. You know, I have said it is pretty productive, but you still have to catch them. So not saying in the next, you know, 2 hours or so we've got left that those fish might not dry up and everyone else has got a chance to catch up as well. But pretty much everyone's catching around me. A few people to my left and my right, they're all catching a few fish. It's all pretty even apart from the end peg, I think. So everything is still to play for, and I think rather than really sitting it out like I did at the start for the first sort of hour and a half, as soon as bites dry up on a line now, I'm going to move on to the next one, and between the 3 lines probably fish 15 or 20 minutes on each, move again. They just don't really want to settle anywhere, and it's a case of once you've caught 2 or 3, you may as well give it 15 minutes rest, because next time you go back on it, they're on there really quick. So if you're new to match fishing or you're getting into it, then that is something to really remember. Swim rotation is massive, and a little 15-minute break can do you wonders. So put down to your fishing if you're not. I'm going to really get my head down now. Hopefully, I need some bigger fish, you know, I need some bonus fish. Hopefully some of those are going to turn up. A little angry one, but the odd fish is keeping us interested. Well, there's another fish, and we are approaching the last hour. So the clicker now says roughly £30. So we're going to be a little bit behind the target unless we have a really good last hour. And I've switched to the other line, and I've decided just to feed ground bait in the hope that there's nothing else to eat apart from my hook bait. There seems to be a few fish moving over there, so you know, we're going to hope for a last hour surge and see if we can do any damage. Like I said, I can't really see what's going on down the other end of the lake, so I can't comment. Peg 1 is probably out of sight. I don't know, I mean, you never know, but I would say that that ship has sailed on that one. But all I'm going to do is concentrate on trying to put together a few better fish in the last remaining hours. Quite often the best bit of the match is quite often the time that you can feed more bait, be more positive, and try and change your position if you're not doing quite as well. But there's another fish, nice little common. This is probably the average sort of size on the carp in here. So the one we had earlier was really big, and like I said, it's probably worth 2 or 3 of those. So a good start, but the middle bit was a little bit quiet. But there you go, another hour. I'm going to put £3 on the clicker for this one, and we're going to get back out there. Well, they have shown up, as they so often do in the last half an hour to an hour of a match. The F1s have moved out, which I caught a few of those, and they've replaced with these sort of £2 to £3 carp. So we've got about 5 minutes left. The clicker's tipped over £40, maybe mid 40s. I'm not sure, when you're filming it's hard to find out really, but I'm going to get this one slipped in there. 5 more minutes, I'm sure we've got a chance for one more. Quickly get this going again. We've got probably, after that talking, 4 minutes I'm going to guess, so a few maggots going on. This is the time to be really aggressive with it, to be honest with you. You know, I said at the start, don't be the first one to like put loads of bait in and make a mistake, but when you know you're behind, when it gets to like 2 hours to go, out like that, go for it. You know, you may as well, you've got nothing to lose. Fish positive, so I'll put a heavier hook link on. Up to hook size, I'm fishing 4 or 5 maggots, and I'm putting a little bit of ground bait every cast, but every sort of like 2 or 3 fish I'm also putting a big full pot of ground bait. And you know, it's amazing how they know when the end of the match. It happens all the while. If you go match fishing, you'll know the last half an hour, 45 minutes can be crazy. Everyone catches a load of fish and you just wish it was like that from the start. But I don't know, I'm going to sit and watch this float, a couple of minutes to get a bite, and hopefully we can end on another fish.
It's your 1 minute warning, mate.
We've got 1 minute. Okay, well hopefully we'll get a bite in a minute. Go on there.
We'll see out the last minute.
There's a lot of fish there now, it's just the case, oh no, missed a bite. It's just a case if one's going to pick up the hook bait. That's why I've switched to 4 or 5 maggots, because I'm feeding ground, there's nothing really for them to eat, so they come into a big cloud. I fed it loose, which is, you know, it's one of the best ways to catch down the edge, and fishing over the far side is no different. Loose ground bait with a visual hook bait, a big worm, 4 or 5 maggots, something like that is always. No, that was early. No, didn't finish on a bite. But what do we think we've had? I think, you know, I said it's hard when filming. I think I've had roughly 40 something pound. It's not going to win peg one, like I said, as it so often does. Well, I say it's one. It might not have. It might have been one at the other end. I can't see them, but I would guess it's been one from there, and the rest of us are competing for the other places. So I'll get this packed up. We'll follow the way in, and hopefully it's give you a bit of insight into what I do on particular venues. Certainly these styles, like I said, rotate your lines, far side, middle, and sometimes your side. But with filming, it's too much noise, too much talking, too much going on to fish your near side. So a lot to think about. Hopefully we're showing you a bit of that. We'll get the weigh-in done and see where we come.
Is it?
14-1.
Yeah, Jess.
That one.
Beautiful, isn't it? 42-10.
42-10. Well, another match done, and classic British weather. We finish in the rain. It seems every time I go fishing at the moment, I finish and pack up all my gear when it's soaking wet. But a second place finish. Got a habit, haven't I, coming second on these matches. I've done it on the last one, and I was only beaten by the end peg on peg one. So I'm not too worried about that. I can't complain about it. It wins an awful lot of matches, but take nothing away from the people who are on it, because you've still got to catch them. So it's one with £64 there. I've had 56, and then I think third is 34. So I said at the start of the match, £50 is what I was aiming for, because it would think it would be competitive, and it was. So I fished to the target, I fished to the plan, and you should always evaluate at the end of a match. And doing it today, I don't think I could have caught a lot more. I was happy with how I fished. I'm happy with the plan that I chose to fish and the way it progressed throughout the day. And yeah, I'll go home and think if there's anything I could do to enhance it, but currently at the moment I'm pretty happy with it. £40 at the end of the day, a bit of money for going fishing, and you can't complain about that. So I hope if you are getting into match fishing, or you're already doing it, you can take something away from it about how you can feel your way in and then really attack at the end of the match, and just work out what's the best thing to do at the right time. That's a huge thing about match fishing, is getting it right at the right time. So good luck if you are on the bank. Obviously a huge thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you again on the next one.